Guys, Creative Commander here. Uh, Mario Party DS is one of my favorite Mario Parties to exist. First off, it's great boards, and it's a lot of fun. However, one of the most big parts about Mario Party is the minigames. So, of course, there's nothing left to do except for rank them. So, my parameters for ranking are going to be every computer is on hard, because that's how I usually play it. And then I rank all of the minigames. Although there are a total of about, or of, one moment, just had to notice something on my list. Okay. Although there are a total of about 71 minigames, I believe. No, 72, I think. I don't know, but although there are that many, I will not be including puzzle mode minigames, as 5 of them are from previous games, and the other one I'm not gonna really talk about. I'm talking about regular minigames, including bosses. So, with that out of the way, let's get started. Number 66 at the very bottom of the list is Soil Toil. This minigame is pretty unique. What you do is you spin around a tire, and however fast you spin it determines however fast you go. However, if you can watch, the computers aren't very good at being coordinated. So, just watching this, you can tell that either you have to be able to go at speed, and you can probably see why this is so low on the list. It's even lower than the 2 luck-based minigames, which I find pretty sad. I find that if a game is deserving to be this low, it's bad. So therefore, it gets the very bottom part, or very bottom spot on this list. Number 65, Gusty Blizzard. Gusty Blizzard is practically impossible. But the goal of the game is for the one player to freeze all of the the 3 players, and the 3 players have to rub their characters to stay non-frozen. Unfortunately, 10 seconds is way too long of a time, and almost every time the winner is one player. So it's better than Soil Toil, but not as. Number 65, Gusty Blizzard. Gusty Blizzard is practically impossible. But the goal of the game is for the one player to freeze all of the 3 players, and the 3 players have to rub their characters to stay non-frozen. Unfortunately, 10 seconds is way too long of a time, and almost every time the winner is one player. So it's better than Soil Toil, but not as. Number 64, Chips and Dips, as well as, I'm pretty sure you all guessed this one, Cheap Chance. Both are luck-based minigames. And to be honest, I have nothing against luck-based minigames, besides the fact that they can be completely biased most of the time. But anyways, most of the time, I find that luck-based minigames are necessary. That way, game isn't always decided as skill. However, it's not very fun, usually. Like, This, I'm, if I would to rank them based off of how much I liked less, Cheap Chance is definitely lower because every time, if you are at the end, your odds are completely different than can be completely different than people beginning before you. So, in this case, I lost. Great. But yeah. So, overall, this minigame is not very fun, but it's luck based. And similar things with chips and dips. In this game, you have to pick a random card and hope for the best. Your goal is to have the most points at the end of the minigame. However, I have found that you can cheese this minigame if you're on an emulator by saving a spot right after the cards are shuffled, and then pressing one, finding out if they are, and then finally reload the emulator and pick the best one. But I'm not that kind of person. It's really unfair. And another reason why I think this one's better is Cheap Chance is not just luck based. It's luck based to extreme. I'm kidding now. It's actually decided from the very beginning. I once did a test with the save states because I saw how well it worked on chips and dips. I know, I did it, but still. And every single time I picked a different one, they all resulted in me losing. Which confused me, like, it's a luck minigame, right? But what I believe, this is just a theory. Not Pat, get on it. Anyways, this is just a theory, but I think the game decides from the very beginning who will be a winner, who will be a loser. So therefore, it's not very fun, it's not fair, but honestly, I don't care. So they both deserve number 64 on my list. Number 63 on the list is Rail Riders. What can I say? Not very fun. Weird thing to put a leaf on a banister. Sliding on with a touchscreen. Yeah. It's not very fun. And also, there is a slight problem. I might not be able to do very good on the emulator, but on the game I can get about 600 each time, so. But yeah. This game's just overall not very fun. The visuals are kind of boring. And jeez, I'm doing so terrible. But still, it's kind of hard to do sometimes, like, considering I'm not bad at the game, I'm not good at it either, but I just find it kind of boring and uninspired. So it belongs to bottom. Similar to number 63, Rail Riders, Cherry Go Round is number 62. It is basically a similar game, but not. So what you do is you spin around the cherries in a circle. Pretty simple, right? But yeah, if you would have guessed by now, it's not very fun on the DS. I'm so bad at this, right? On the computer. Anyways, still, it's not fun. It's boring. It's just meh. And that's why it's at this spot. Number 61, Trace Cadet. This is a decently unique game and good idea for a touchscreen game. My big gripe, it's almost never responsive if you're actually playing it. Like, when you see that, I made one little mistake and it automatically deducted it. And it's just not fun. The music's decent for what it is, and the idea is smart, but just the overall execution is not. So therefore, that is why it is so low in this list. Number 60 on the list is Flash and Dash. A decently unique minigame where the one player has to run away from the three. However, the three can see, however, each player can tell how far away they are from the other players. So then why is it so bad? It's so difficult for the one because the three can track him down easily. Like 3 seconds in, maybe 5, I don't know. But so short into the game, we already caught him. The board is randomized, but like, it just doesn't matter. It's just boring and not very fun. And it's completely unbalanced. So that is why it is here. So number 59 is Get the Lead Out. I set up notes for this one, for all of these minigames, telling why I placed them here. All I wrote for this specific minigame here is have fun mashing on a 3DS. If you've ever done that, you know it's not fun, because it's painful. Buttons are tiny, and it's overall just, it's a decent amount of time, and such, so it just hurts sometimes. And you can only really use your thumb, because your index finger is not good for that. So, although it's a mashing game, and I think mashing games are decent, this is not a good one to mash. Number 58, Trackstar. Should have been pretty expected after you saw how much I didn't like Get the Lead Out. This one is sort of luck-based, and it's also a mashing game. Two of my sort of least favorites. So, this game is meh. All you do is chase down the other players. And if you go the same path as them, then you have the chance to run them over. If you're the person on the train, all you have to do is just smash A. However, if you are one of the 3 players, you have to mash 2 buttons alternatively. It can be A, B, X, or Y, but it always hurts so bad. And if the three players don't pick a single one the same, like if not as this person, like as Mario did here, it's impossible for the one player to win. So it's rigged in the one player's favor from when the one player has a chance, and rigged for the 3 players. It's just not fun. So that is why it is down here. Cucumber Jacks is the next one on the list, number 57. This one involves slicing a cucumber. Yeah. It's about as fun as it sounds. You literally just swipe left, swipe right, and everything. That's all you do. It's not like hurting. Sort of like literally almost sort of like the mini games from Mario Party 1, but it's just not fun. It's boring. It's visually boring too. So, overall, it's not very fun. Thankfully, it doesn't last for like forever. So, it's not bad. It's just not good. And at this point, from here on, I am going to be saying that this one thing. Most of the rest of the minigames are at least decent. Because we've just gotten past probably my I don't like this one, Trackstar. So, I'm going to say most of the rest one will be decent enough. But still, if they're low, I don't like them. Twist and Root is the very next minigame. I like how we're forced to use the motion control or the stylus to wind up the car, and then use the arrow pads or the D-pad to aim the car. but it's just doesn't look pretty. The controls are decent, but I feel like the game's a bit meh. Wow, I can't believe I said that. Still, it's just not the most fun game. And it can last for almost 30, for like at least 40 seconds if you're against people that aren't that good. So, effectively, it's too long, too boring, and I do like the idea, but it just didn't work. Number uh, 55 on the list is sprinkler scalers. This one is very simple. Very simple. So basically, you just have to climb up this this tube. Unfortunately, it's just boring. Like the controls work, they just don't make it very fun. If you get what I mean. So, it's just meh. It's a half decent game, but I just find it kind of boring to play, and the only thing saving it from being lower than Twist and Route was the good controlling of press the button and figure out which one it is. On to the first boss minigame of this list, Hammer Chime. It's, in a word, too easy. Although a couple times I have messed up once, that's all I've ever done. Once. It's basically a game of repeat. So just watch. Blue, green, red. I did it. Red, blue, yellow, blue. I could go faster than this. And I will. Red, green, blue, yellow, green. You see, it's too easy. That's the issue. Like, way too easy. Although this is the second boss in the main story mode, I just don't find it fun. Although you do get prizes for beating them. So yeah. And if you have noticed, I have not completed these two yet. Unfortunately, I haven't had the time to, so I'm probably just gonna talk about something else, or talk while having a video up or something. Okay, up next is another boss minigame, Hexoskeleton with Dry Bones. Let's just say it's also too easy, but instead of only taking 1 damage sometimes, I sometimes take 2 damage. Such a difference. The only thing that saves it, besides it's a little bit more difficult, is the fact that the controls are fun to you, and the perspective keeps on changing, which makes it more interesting. But he doesn't do anything. Like, watch. I get hit once, and that's it. But something fun I like to do is to wait for his jump attack, and then let him get hit in midair so that the thing happens. So that the animation to where he gets hit occurs. And he does a bone attack like every 30 seconds probably. It's just boring. And it's not boring. It's just too easy. But I do like how his dead body just breaks up into even more dead body pieces. So, dull, but still better than Soil Toil. And as an award, I got a delicious durian. Oh, wait. Okay, number 52 is Bowser's Block Party. Unfortunately, this minigame has no footage due to me being not very good. So, the basic premise is that Bowser is a golden block, and you have to hit him enough times for him to lose a heart. There is a problem though. It takes too long, as he has three separate stages with three separate cutscenes with three separate sets of moves, and one of them is super difficult for me. The first set is pretty simple. He is almost in a tornado shape, and he basically just spins around, shoots a little bit of fire, and then falls over. Then you start punching him or kicking him and such, and then he goes on to his next form, which is a cube. At the point before, I usually never get hit. Then I move on to this, where I just lose like one heart. Basically, he just moves around and stuff and tries to squish you. But that's it. But then finally, we get to his last one. And oh boy, does that one suck. Basically, if you've never played the game, you would not know this, but the final one, he moves around a bunch. He continues moving around all of the time. And then you get a small amount of time to attack him. But that's it. A tiny time. Not much else. So, yeah. It's just bad. It's not a fun minigame. It's not fun to play. It's too hard and too long. Number 51 on my list is Tidal Fools. This one seems like an interesting concept. You just grab coins and avoid waves. Simple, right? Actually, I tend to find that. Wow, I'm bad. Anyways, that the game is pretty simple, and I almost always end up getting a lot of coins. But since I'm on an emulator, I'm not so good with the controls, and it's a little bit slower. But almost every time, there's gonna be one person who gets like 15 or 20, and then all the rest are gonna get very little. You see, like overall, it's kind of dull. Doesn't pay out a lot for three people, but then with one person, it's good. So yeah, not very good, not terrible, just meh. And that's why it's at number 51. Up next at number 50 is Book Bash. Unfortunately, no footage. Book Bash is about defeating Kamek, or Magic Koopa. I don't even know. But still. Anyways, uh, it's too long. That's the biggest issue with it. It has a first stage where you have to do a little bit of dodging, which is boring. Then you move on to the Kamek phase, where you just make like an inkling and ink his face. Exciting gameplay. You dodge spells and books. And that's basically it. Takes a long time and isn't very fun in between. And he can regen his health too. So, overall, just not a good one. And with that, we've covered the second best boss minigame, and we're at number 50. Well then, I guess this won't be good. Or will it? Because the only one left is Feed and Seed. Let's see how far it goes. But for Book Bash, it deserves number 50 for being too long and just boring. Next one on the list, number 49, is Toppling Terror. And this one's just A, boring, B, easy, and C, bleh. Well, I might not do this well because I'm not sure about the microphone functionings, but we'll see. Yeah, no. Yeah, I lost. But seriously, this game on the actual DS is way too easy. Okay, that was funny. But seriously, th this game I found is that if you both blow with maximum air, the winner is random. Doesn't even matter. It's just play. And so, it deserves a spot on the list at number 49. Number 48 on the list is Roller Coasters, which is just it's a decent idea. Swipe the screen and roll the ball across the sand pit. The issue is, A, it's boring. B, the course is always the same. So I find that it's just bleh. I like to say bleh, I guess. But yeah, there's just not enough fun. And sometimes the swiping doesn't even respond right. So overall, it's quite dull, quite mediocre, and just not fun. And that's why it is at number 48. Number 48, 47 is Shortcut Circuit. This minigame is an interesting concept. Use different bars to, well, earn coins. The issue here is that A, it's dull, B, coins are virtually just handed out, and C, the camera stops while you're trying to place. I can understand that, but it just gets rid of most of the fun. And you can also mess opponents up, but if you're diligent, you alone can get a lot, and that just makes it the game basically pointless for most people, just like Titanfalls. But I find this one to be slightly more forgiving most of the time. So that is why it is this low on the list. Up next on the list, number 46, Big Blowout. Pretty much what is wrong with what's it called? With Toppling Terror is present here. Um, the gameplay is boring, and the visuals are kind of bleh. And I know it's a bit slow, but yeah. And I find that the best strategy is just to have it at the maximum volume. Or at the maximum. Because that basically wins it for you every time. So, yeah. Just boring, not fun. That's all I have to say. Up next on the list is Boogie Beam. The minigame I always seem to get on in duels that when computer players challenge me. And they promptly lose. Computers suck at this minigame most of the time, and psh, look at me. But yeah, most of the time I found these computers are just not good at the game. So it's just boring. Like, you click one of two buttons, get plenty of time usually. The last one's always the same, so, and they always get it, so they can just, it's just pretty boring. Anyways, that's why it's so low. Call of the Goomba. Number 44 is all about tempo, but it's just finicky. I can never seem to find the right rhythm or how fast to truly go. If you play, and what I found is, if you play on normal and you do okay, you will basically almost always win. If you play on hard modes, you have to basically get like at least a quarter of the notes to win. Play in the hardest mode though, you need basically to have half of the Goombas. And that's mandatory because that's the majority. It's just not fun. And sometimes I think I'm going at the perfect tempo. I'm not. So, anyways, just bleh. Next on the list is Nothing to Lose. Now, this minigame just doesn't work. If you're on the one player team, you're very likely to win unless you have someone good on it. Because, like, the computers just don't know how to work this thing. They constantly hold it for too long. They start it up way too early. And the only way to really make sure that you do it right is if you're on the team of three. If you're on a team of one against three computer players, you're probably going to win. If not, you just got to be good at the minigame. Thankfully, I am. But still, it's just not very fun. So, in general, it's okay that it's sometimes balanced if you're playing against other people, but just not fun. Up next is Rubber Ducky Rodeo. Excuse me while I say boring. So with this one, it's all about trying to make sure you knock the other people off. Simple, right? I held one button. I held right the entire time, and in like 10 seconds, everyone fell off. If that doesn't show a bad mini game, I don't know what it is. It's too unbalanced. It's not even fun. Similar to another one coming up soon. Remember a couple seconds ago when I mentioned something unbalanced but not fun, and that there's something that is fun? I don't know if I mentioned that, but here it is. Shuffleboard Showdown is number 41. Basically, what you do, you slide shuffles, or chips, which is surprisingly boring. Wow, that was such laggy. That was the laggiest thing ever. Whatever. Maybe it's because I was getting rid of a bunch of stuff. Either way, this is basically a slightly better version, but still very imbalanced. And a fun fact, this minigame and chips and dips were removed from the um, Korean versions of the game, most likely due to the fact that they had gambling. So that's a little tidbit of information. But that doesn't save it from number 41. Here's another minigame that's 1 versus 3. Power Washer is number 40 on the list. Concept, like most of these minigames, it's pretty good. And execution, horribly unbalanced. Most of the time, the computers will jump straight up and then just wait for the wash to go through. They're gonna make it any easier. With 10 seconds left, the second one comes off and divides into quarters. This game is just unbalanced, not very fun, and if you're the one player, you're most likely going to get the 10 coins. But what saves it is that it's not the most unbalanced one. So all I wrote in my note, so with all my notes, I write a little bit of reason why they like maybe a sentence of why they aren't good, why it's this and why it's that. All I wrote for this one was all right enough. So we're getting the point where the miniguns aren't terrible. They're meh. They're decent enough. So that's good news, right? On to the next one. Number 39, Mole Thrill. This is the worst of the best of the meh minigames. It's not terrible. It's not great. It's just in the middle. This minigame, you control yourself hitting the ground with a spoon, oddly enough. And you have to avoid rocks. The issue here is trying to coordinate. Coordinating becomes an issue if, let's say, you're playing with a stupid computer player. Because they will never go the way you need to, and they'll get you stuck on rocks. But when you have a good computer player, it can help. Overall, the game's pretty fun. It's pretty neat idea of cooperation, and its execution's pretty alright. It's just a little dull, and the visuals are kind of just browny gray. But it could be worse, and that's why it's not in. It's basically right in the middle. Number 38, airbrushers. So this is another coin minigame where the success depends if you get how many coins you get. Unfortunately, it seems like Mario's an idiot this time, but oh well. This coin minigame is pretty balanced, to be honest. Like the computers seem to want to cooperate. See, we both got about an equal amount of coins, even though we were of varying skill. This game is just much more balanced and much more rewarding. So it's better than Mulan. It's just kind of bleh. Do like the art theme though. That's what saves it from being better than Mole Thrill. Moving two down the list from the last minigame, Crazy Crosshairs. All I wrote for this one was good coordinating minigame, but kind of bland. This one you had to try and shoot the I forget what they're called. Wow, I'm stupid. They look like spiders, but I don't think that's what they're called. At least I hope it's not what they're called. I'm pretty sure it's a minigame like Mario Party 5 or something, where you shoot them and you try to get past their webs. So, either way, it's fine. It's a good minigame. It's a neat idea, but it just doesn't work out very well. But still. Well, I mean, it does work out well, it's just kind of bland. And overall, it's quite balanced because either you can go for the easy ones or you can go for the golden ones, which appear quick and leave quick. And I find it's pretty balanced, and as you saw there, 10 and 9. Either way, still a pretty good minigame. Number 36, Plush Crush. What do I need to say about Clush Crush? Clush Crush? No, it's Plush Crush. It's a weird sounding name, but surprisingly a good and well made dodging minigame. Essentially, you just have to avoid having stuff dropped on you, which is harder than it sounds. Even though I seem to be doing alright, I tend to fail a lot just because of the fact that I end up trapping myself like this. The only way to truly win is to last the whole timer. Game is quite mm, all right. It's a little unbalanced towards the one, even though I suck at it sometimes. But overall, it's not that unbalanced, and it's pretty decent minigame. That's why it's right here on the list. Study Fall is number 35 on the list of best Mario Party minigames. So this one's just react, or no, it's risk reward. Do you stop later or do you stop earlier? Person who stops at the very bottom, or farthest to the bottom, or closest to the bottom, well, wins. And well, it's pretty simple. All I put was average reaction game. Doesn't mean it's bad, but just could be more. Although I do like how there's all sorts of science and math stuff written all over the chalkboard. Either way, decent, not the best. Number 34, Book It. This one's very simple. All I wrote for this one was push buttons quick. That's literally every single word I wrote. But yeah, it's what is said on the tin. It's just press the buttons. What I find funny is that it's called Book It, like you're using books. But to me, it looks like you're just using a ruler to pick yourself up. So that's it. On the ABXY, it's just move your finger in a circle twice and then wait. But overall, I just kind of like this minigame. I don't know why. It's just hard to explain. Either way, that's why it's up here, because I'm bad at explanations. Up next, Cheap Chump. This is the second minigame on the list that is a battle minigame, I believe. I'm actually not sure, but I don't think it is actually. Whatever. It's just eh. I can't really find a word to describe it other than meh. That's what happens a lot. All I wrote is okay, mash, and avoid minigame. The mash comes in when you're trying to avoid it, which is swimming, and you're just trying to avoid the whirlpools, which is relatively easy to do, unless you're a computer player. Game's over in like 20 seconds. But yeah, it's just alright. Nothing more, nothing less. Decent battle minigame, could be better, could be worse. But, eh, not hating it. Up next, Globe Gunners, the next battle minigame, ironically. Well, actually, that's not irony. But, this minigame is a little wonky. Like, just looking at it, you can tell it's a bit wonky. Just the physics and such, how the orb travels, it's kind of weird. But, I do find it quite competitive and fun. If you're playing on low difficulties, you'll think this sucks because literally they just run around without shooting anything. But in this mode, it's actually usually pretty fun. I still win a lot, but still. It works well enough to be a decent battle minigame, and that is why it's up here. Memory Mash is number 31, and, well, it's memory. More so it's luck, just like the game Memory. You just have to match up all the symbols that exist. If you first team to match up the three tiles or 3 cards first will win. And there we go. The cards are randomly generated. They're 9 sets, which make the game quite balanced. And overall, it's balanced. And it's alright fun. I just wrote kinda meh memory game on the thing, so that doesn't give an indication. It's not the best, not the worst. Still a good memory game though. Sweet Sleuth is number 29 plus 1, number 30. This minigame on the tin looks fun. You have to drag candies that match overall the overall candy he wants. There's one big problem with it that we'll discuss in a second that I think is pretty stupid, but functionally the minigame works. It doesn't it tells you what you need, but it shows what everyone else needs at the same time, so that you're not just knowing that they're just like cheating and such off the screen. But overall, it works. My main issue though, why is it named Sweet Sleuth? Like, I know they wanted to come up with some sort of alliteration, but Sweet Sleuth. Sleuth is commonly associated with detectives or someone who figures something out. All you're doing is looking at a candy and giving it. So, yeah. I also wrote that. I just realized that I wrote more stuff. I said that it's a decent reaction minigame, but other players in falling candy can really mess you up, which is completely true if everyone's going for the same candy. So, and since all the bunch of candies look the same, or so like, it gets difficult. But overall, it's fine enough. Number 29 is something that even surprised me myself when I was making the list: penny pinchers. I first thought, no, this is completely bad. I can't believe I put it here. Because basically the last time I'd played this was during the time when I used to play in normal mode. And I found that it's just completely imbalanced. But now that I'm looking back at it, it's pretty fun, especially if you're good. Now, this minigame is still pretty unbalanced, but it usually gives 10 to 20 for the top player and 10 to 20 for the bottom player. Of course, that can change, but I see it's fine. Usually, when you have someone good up there, it doesn't matter, but both sides have it work. So, yeah, that's why it's at number 29. Okay, number 28. Just for Success. Just what it looks like is a mini game that's based off of memory. That's all it is. Although it can be a little difficult at times, usually it's somewhat simple. But it's the main draw to it is some of the things look very similar, and you might accidentally pick the wrong one to look at, and it shuffles pretty quickly, so sometimes I even get messed up. But the computer players are usually pretty spot on too. So, if that's any indication. Overall, overalls. It's a strong mini game for memory, but just aesthetically speaking, a green background with cards with little white lines. That is very, very, very creative of you, Nintendo. Maybe they could have had like a fashion thing in the back, like where they were put on other people's clothes. I don't know, but like there's a mini game in My Sims Party like that, referring to that game. But still, could be better. Main aspect that I don't like, just the visuals, but overall, decent minigame. Okay, I'm gonna have to go pretty quickly these things now. Okay, number 27, Shorty Scores. Simple. Score soccer goals. And try your best to punch other people to get the ball. Ah, Yeah, pretty simple. And the goals, the only thing I've complained about is the goals kind of are way too big, and my depth perception's not the best when it comes to this kind of crap. And yeah, it's an alright minigame, but it's just meh. Assist. But yeah, it's alright, not the best, but still. It could be worse, could be better. Overall, depth perception. Up next, Cube Crusher 26. Last time I was trying to say that depth perception kind of messes it up, but then I accidentally hit the stop recording. Still, overall, this minigame is like super simple. You just had to escape with your life. Although, the only thing I had trouble with is just the sliding aspect. It's a little too slippery for my taste, but eh, it's a nice aspect having the stage be a freezer. But sometimes there's just these spaces, and this is one of the biggest issues: the fact that you can freeze. You have to have your teammate. Oh God, you have to have your teammate help you. And if you couldn't tell, sometimes they're not the best. But overall balanced, and I find myself losing and winning the computers a lot. Still, fun mini game, and it's a good team one. Rotisserie Rampage number 25. If this reminds you of any two mini games, one from, a recent title, one from one of the oldest titles, I wouldn't blame you. This is functionally the same, but I just love the fact that how there's just random stuff going on in the background. You got a Shy Guy dancing, wanting to eat your rotisserie. You got random stuff going on in the sky like UFOs and planes. And the overall thing, I just overall love this minigames. Aztecs, and there's a blimp going by. And I just find it's pretty balanced usually. So I just have fun with it. Anyways, that's why it's here. Up next, number 24, Double Vision, is a drawing minigame. That works well on the touchscreen. Last time we had a drawing minigame, uh, it was like 5th place or so. So, how does this one separate itself? I honestly don't know have any idea, but so much more fun. Oh crap! I forgot about the eyes. Anyways, it's just more forgiving and also just more fun in general. And sometimes you get a really ugly picture. Doesn't mean it's gonna turn out terrible. Overall, my notes are good trace minigame, but when I draw bad, I get more points. If that explains anything, it should. But up next, number 23, Dust Buddies. What can I say? It's Dust Buddies. All you do is run away from a vacuum with ribbon and buttons. Like, to, to be honest, this would be terrifying if I was actually doing this, because I could almost be killed by a thing of string or some buttons. But overall, this mini game uses its idea of you are small and really puts a lot of personality into it. Because I might say it's perfect for this scenario. The biggest issue, though, the main reason why it's out of the top 20, the marbles. Countless times I've been hit by the marbles because I do not know where they go. That's the main issue. There need to be enough marbles, and there needs to be a way to figure it out. Unless, of course, I'm stupid. But still. Anyways, it's still really good. 23 is a good spot for it. And literally right above that, or above Dust Buddies on this, on both of the lists, is Boo Tag number 22, which is a keep away minigame where you have to try and well, it's more of a run away, but if you do have the thing, give it to someone. Basically, this minigame combines, well, dodge and not become a ghost. Pretty good advice. Either way, functionally, the minigame looks pretty well, and it feels pretty good too. The boos are fairly responsive and allow for some interesting strategy. The person who spends the least amount of time booed will win. And, well, I find that the boos, the booed people walk faster, which gives them a good advantage. And overall, it's a nice board that keeps you from just camping in one spot. Pretty well. And my main thing about poke about it is that the ghost can walk through walls, which seems pretty normal, but just kind of ruins the game for me because everyone else has to run into the swords. What could be the number 21 that just poked out of getting into the top 20? I'm glad you asked, or didn't ask actually, because it's soccer survival. Oh, I love this minigame. I used to love it all the time because it used to be one of my like top 5 minigames. But then I kind of just discovered it's kind of bland. It's just a Goomba kicking a ball that's pretty big and you trying to avoid it. That's all. You can jump on other people. I usually kill some because they can't get out of the way, but still, it's it's just not enough. Like the background's not enough. The little Hudson plugs are pretty funny, but it's just not enough. Still pretty fun, just not enough. And after this, the top 20. Starting off the top 20 best mini games of Mario Party DS is Peekaboo. Ha, what a name. This is, well, find it and click it minigame. So there are many categories of boos just stumbling around or walking around, meandering around, whatever you want to call it. And they have various accessories slash headwear slash color schemes, and you have to poke out all the ones that are there. The one player only gets one box, but it's very large, and 3 people get to spread out more, but have small boxes. So it's quite fair, and if you're good, you can win. So yeah, rounding out the top 20, the only reason why I can find that it's not why it's not so high is that everything else is just kind of better. Although I do love this minigame, I just find that I almost always win. Maybe it's just because I'm too good at it. You wanna know why we have obesity? Because of fast food frenzy. One player controls the waiter, I guess, and throws stuff on a tray or a conveyor belt to get sent out, and everyone else tries not to get fat by jumping over them. Too bad most of them get diabetes. Either way, it's pretty fun playing either side because, well, it's interesting. If you jump on the pancakes, you'll lose speed. If you jump on the ice cream, you'll freeze. If you jump on the hot dog, you'll be stunned. If you jump on the bounce, touch the fries, I'm pretty sure you get bounced back. Same with the burger, and the drink's just there. But overall, pretty balanced. Pretty fun. Still one of the better mini games. Once again, it's just not as good as the rest. Domino effect is taken number 18, which is just a reaction. That's all it is. Nothing more, nothing less. If you if you want to say, it's just hitting buttons that match the specific button input, which is actually a lot more fun than it sounds. If you mess up, as you've seen me do numerous times, you'll be stunned for a second. And if you do too slow, just get knocked off. And overall, I find myself having fun with this one. I do mess up a lot, but have fun with it. So that's why it's here. So this is an unpopular opinion, or popular depending on which side you're on, but I do not like bumper balls. In the first games, it's too it's too slow and it takes forever, and it just lasts the whole 60 seconds of a draw. Quoting Peanut Butter Gamer, it's always a draw. In the Mario Party Top 100, it lasts like 5 seconds. This is possibly the best version. Soap Surfers. Essentially, it's bumper balls, but has more chaotic and generally just better. Unfortunately, I kind of suck at this on the computer, but so do the computers. You essentially spin around in this thing, in the sink or wash basin, depending on where you live, and you just try and knock other people out. Knock the other people out. Ahem. Knock the other people out. Well, at least this minigame doesn't just automatically give a draw. Either way, it's still a better version. It's more sensitive than the first two versions, less sensitive than the 100 version. So, it's better than almost every way for me. That's why it's here. Number 16, Hot Shots. This isn't some sort of microwaved alcohol. No, it's just hot shots. Like a kind of archer sort of person. It's overall pretty functionally alright. You shoot you shoot targets and you get points for shooting them. In this difficulty, computers are pretty ruthless, so they constantly go for the ones that are closest to them. They constantly shoot. So, it's a pretty good minigame. And pretty balanced. I find myself winning and losing about half the time, which is pretty fun. And overall, it's pretty good. It's just sometimes on the DS, it's just kind of hard to aim. But it's fine enough. Number 15, Critical. This one is possibly a simple concept done right. So, all you do is just trying to avoid some lava. Pretty normal, right? It shows where the lava is going to be, so you have plenty of time to get out of the way. And you can mash up or A to try and go up faster so that you can stay above everyone else and be able to move more. And overall, I find the controls to be well because right rotates you counterclockwise or clockwise, left rotates you clockwise or counterclockwise. It functions well, and well, it's fun. It's kind of stressful at the end, but I find that I tend to lose a lot, tend to win a lot. It's overall fun, and well, I really lava it. Why am I even here? This is Pedal Pushers, the next one on the list, because I accidentally was streaming instead of recording, and I realized it quickly enough, though. So, this is, despite what it looks like, a mashing and strategy game. Basically, over these patches of puddles, you don't want to go too fast, because if you do, you'll spin out and lose a bunch of speed. So, this minigame's pretty simple, but it's also pretty fun. It's the best kind of mini games. I think my game is broken. Help! My car is broken. I'm kidding. But still, I like to have fun with it, and overall, smart concept, execution's decent, and I like the idea that that you need to stop at certain points to make sure you're good. So that's why it's this high on the list, or was it low? I don't know. Up next is Hedge Honcho, where you swipe leaves. Believe me, it's funnier. It's more fun than I make it out. Basically, you have to avoid bugs and sort. Why does it take so long? But still, on the DS, I'm pretty good at this game, but unfortunately, if you couldn't tell, I'm kind of lacking on this version. Either way, it's a rather unique minigame. If you have to swipe away the leaves in the way that they're aiming, and sometimes you'll meet a bug. If it's a bee, you have to not touch it, or else it'll sting you, and you'll lose precious time. And with ladybugs, you have to rub them off. And overall, it's pretty fun. Unfortunately, Peach thinks she's a superstar. But, oh well. Still, great mini. Up next is number 11, just missing out in the top 10, Hanger Management. You might be wondering why I'm in dual mode for this one. It's because this is just the flat out better version. There's a 2v2 version where most of it's just trying to shove your teammate to go to a certain direction only for them to resist. And this one is more action packed. What I find nice is that each time the order is randomized, or not the order, but which way you have to lean is randomized for most of them. So it adds a thing of variety for this game. And generally, the games are pretty close. If you miss one, you can still rebound by speeding up by staying in the center for longer. Now, I find the duo version so much better than the main version, only because your teammate isn't very as responsive. If I was ranking this game based off of if the teammate would care to help you win, but they don't, by the way, it would be in the 30s, from 11 to the 30s. But that's just why I decided to make this the 1v1 instead of a 2v2. And it's an excellent version of risk reward. Do you go for speed or do you go for safety? Honestly, a little bit of both is needed. And that's why this game gets 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 just outside the top 10. Alright, so we're at the top 10 best minigames of Mario Party DS, in my opinion. Where are we going to start? From the very beginning. Number 10, Goomba Wrangler. This one is very fun. You try, you have to circle the Goombas without circling any bombs. If you circle bombs, you lose roughly about half your current Goombas. Notice that I never said score. With about 5 seconds on the clock, golden Goombas arrive. And overall, they are worth about 3 points. Wait, there's split. Either way, they are worth about 3 points. And if a bomb blows up, it'll get rid of half your Goombas, which may include the gold ones. So, that is me definite. Either way, fun minigame in total and deserving of top 10. Up next is All Geared Up. By being number 9, it proves itself to be good. Now, I'm going to list its main issue. It's quite linear, but otherwise, it's a great tower climb, it's quite competitive, and I find myself winning and losing a bunch. Although it is kind of unbalanced, because the left way is much quicker than the right way. it it's overall a lot of fun, and I just find myself enjoying it very, very much. That is why it's number 9 on the list. This is the number 8 on the list. Feed and Seed. This minigame is, well, a boss minigame. The final boss minigame, to be precise. And, well, it's the best one. Essentially, what you do is you mash the A button, or the, crap. You mash the button to stay out of the way of the piranha plant. And you have to avoid the bomb seeds. So at the beginning, it's usually pretty easy unless you're unprepared. And at this stage, you have to catch a bomb fruit, whatever they're called. And when you do that, you have to throw it in. I always have fun avoiding the bombs and then trying to catch them. It's almost never a bore, and that's why it's on number 8 on my list. Ow. Ow. I'm bad. Whoa. There we go. Whee! Oh. And then, boom. And then the final stage is actually pretty tough. Unless you get, like, getting arm cramps, then this isn't going to be as much fun. But it's still very fun. So that's why it is number 8 on the list. Lucky number 7 is Raft Riot. Although the game says it's a riot, it's not really that much. It's fun. It's just bad naming. But overall, it's pretty fun. As I said multiple times. But yeah, it's a little laggy on my computer, but in game it's very smooth and the controls work very well. So overall, it's a pretty simple minigame, pretty easy though, and although it's easy, I just love it too much. So that is why it is ranked number 7. Now, there are 6 minigames better than this, and I'll list them all right now. There are Wampathon, Cyber Scamper, Parachuting Gallery, Camera Shy, Star Catchers, and Trash Landing. But which of these is the best? We'll see. Number 6 is Star Catchers. Very simple, very fun. All you do, you tap the stars that come out. Not very inventive, but it works out well. In the early game, one person's probably gonna get most of them. But then once the game starts going quicker, that's when it really speeds up. If you could tell, I really love this game. Like, I'm just staying silent just because I love every aspect about it. The only issue I have with it is the computer players sort of suck at it. If it were a little bit harder on this, it would make it so much easier. It would make it so much more fun. But as it stands, still very fun. So, That's why it's number 6. Number 5 is Trash Landing. So I was debating putting this with the luck minigame since it's a giant aspect, but I decided it's not just luck. So what you do is you choose a random rope that can have a certain toolbox or item in it, or item under it. Essentially, you have to try and jump off the rope and onto the item. Some are easier than the others, and overall, all of them are possible, which makes this minigame like not dependent on how other people do, which I love. My only issue is that sometimes they're a little bit too big, but otherwise, this is possibly one of my most played minigames, and it's easy to see why once you play it. And that's why it's number 5. Number 4 is Cyber Scamper, which is a parkour-like game that is also an auto-scroller, where you have to avoid falling off. The interesting thing though is the background's all black and the lights flicker on and off at times, and there are holes in the ground which makes traversing it even more difficult. I love when things do this. Like, you can't just rely only on skill. You have to be able to rely on your senses. And since it's an auto-scroller, it allows you to stay. It forces you to stay with the clock. Nah, darn it! I was so close. But yeah, overall, it's a lot of fun, and I do find myself fall off a couple times. But overall, it's a great parkour minigame. It's changed up every time. This is what the parkour game should be. Number 3, Wompathon. This one, very simple premise. Do not be under the womp. The womp will give away if it's falling by rumbling. Seems easy, right? Just don't go to the one that's rumbling. Only issue? They start having multiple rumbling, and you have to pay attention the order in which they rumble. Overall, I've actually found that hard computers are much better than this, but I don't know what's wrong with them this time. Either way, a lot of fun, kind of easy. It's the only thing making it short. And there are only 2 left. First, you have the game of Camera Shy. Other than that, and after that, it, you have Parachute and Gallery. Which one's number 1? You'll find out in just a second. Surprise, surprise, Parachute and Gallery is number 2. This is among my top played, but it's not the most played, as number 1, as we'll shortly see, is definitely my favorite. So this one is pretty simple. You just have to land on the square with your color. Oh, I didn't even see what color was. Wow. And effectively, if you land on the right color, you get a point. Highest score wins, and you can even knock your opponents out of the way if you want. And it gets really difficult trying to maneuver yourself over to there. So, and I love the aesthetic of a Jack and the Beanstalk style, which just is beautiful. But the only reason why this isn't number 1 is because my number 1 is just overall my favorite. I like this game a lot, very much, but number 1. Number 1, oh, number 1 is Camera Shy. On the surface, this seems kind of bland. Just take pictures of other people without them getting them first, right? But then you have to think of a strategy. Do you try and get all the pictures at once, or do you try and get multiple people? if you do, if you get one person, if you snap a picture of someone, it shows your location to the every player for a second. Oh, oh, oh crap! Come on, Peach. And overall, I love the little aesthetic. Ah, I'm so bad. I love the aesthetic of how everything's tiny and you're in that. It's like a needle in a haystack finding everyone, which makes it even more perfect. And just every part of it is great. So that is why this is number one on my list of favorite Mario parties. Yes, Luigi, you are the superstar. Oh boy, did this take me forever to make. This took is taking took a lot of my time out and recording all of the footage, recording all of the mini games, getting all the mini games, except for a couple because I mentioned them earlier. But I was just eventually I kind of lost motivation because I just couldn't do it. But I finally decided to to finally do it. And as a result, I think I did well. Thank you guys for watching. Subscribe if you aren't, and see you next time.